All right, you're on Listen to the Late Debate. We're talking to Republican National Committee woman Pat Anderson about the Racino proposal in front of the legislature now and her role in lobbying for that. Now, Pat, there's been a bit of a controversy in the last few weeks. Since elected to National Committee woman, you took this position to lobby for Racino, yet in the Republican Party platform, we are against in the bloated Republican Party platform, we are specifically against Racino.
Nope.
No, we're against gambling expansion.
Nope. It says we're against the expansion of gambling.
Okay.
And then it goes on to say where gambling currently exists, which is what I would say Canterbury is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And then it goes on to say we should tax the Indian casinos, which we can't do, by the way. So, but that was what Plenty tried to do.
So it says that we're against gambling expansion where gambling already exists.
No, we're against gambling expansion, and it says, but where gambling already exists, we think we should tax.
Okay.
So then it talks about the Indian casinos.
Controversy over.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming by. We'll see you.
So if you take
enjoy the next 40 minutes of silence.
You take the one sentence. It's posted that one sentence. You get into it, the next sentence and the next stuff, and you go, Canterbury qualifies. Now, does the Block E or the slots and bars, that clearly doesn't fall under the platform.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I have delegate friends who are a little miffed at you for not being out front about this before your election.
Yes.
And is this what you would tell them, that your view does not disagree with the platform and that all of this controversy is overblown? Or
well, I would tell them a couple things. First of all,
does your opinion on gambling differ from the platform, and should you have admitted that before the election?
Well, my position on Racino has always been out there in public. I supported the Racino proposal in 2003 when I was state auditor.
Okay.
In fact, the proposal had the auditor auditing this stuff. If you go back and look, 03 and 05. And so I've always been a Racino supporter publicly.
Okay.
So that's not a question. And people know that. And But I did take this position after I was elected National Committee woman. Now, it was about a week and a half later. So that's the big question, what was going on.
Right.
And I can tell you that, first of all, I have other clients. I work for multiple clients, as you know. I was in here talking about one of them 2 weeks ago,
Yes.
right? A different one. So, so I picked this up after, but I had been talking to them
Beforehand?
as I had been with many other clients. So potential clients. So I could have arguably,
Not to put you on the spot, but would they have hired you if you weren't elected?
yes,
Okay.
yes, yep. I think, and but I could have, disclosed everyone I'm talking to and had been talking to.
Okay.
But I'd have to sort of make a list of everyone that I've been talking to, and that's continuing to go on. So
Sure.
So that's the question: should I have said everyone that I'm talking to that's a potential client?
Well, this is
now or down the road or whatever. And I can understand that people could think, oh God, it was only a week and a half later.
Well, and this is the conversation that me and Jack have had for the last 2 weeks around this is, do people getting elected to offices for the party need to disclose this, or is there some reason that they need to get paid by the party to keep conflicts from happening?
Yeah.
Well, no, a national committee woman is not a paid position and should not be a paid position. So no, I don't think, and I think that's different than like your party chair and
deputy
vice
chair.
Very much so. So this is like being a CD chair or something. You would never pay a CD chair. So and
it gets down to, now, do we have to disclose all the CD chairs? Do we have to disclose all the PPOU chairs?
Let me ask you, Pat.
And what do you disclose? That's the question. Because everything I do is fully disclosed. And I disclose
it. Would be,
but you don't disclose it until you actually have
who are your
the
political
clients.
clients, and where do you disagree with the party platform? But is that too far?
Yeah, that's the question. When this came up, we started a conversation about all the, like, if you were an employee of the state party and you had some other job, it's totally within the rights of the state party to say, you know what, we don't like you having a second job, quit that or you're fired. The controversy about a potential Tony Sutton may have been looking for a job, and his wife may have said, would you like Tony to work for you? There was that controversy. So we started thinking, what obligation is an elected person under, whether it's party chair or a CD chair, in where they seek outside employment, how they make their money, and the disclosure of that? Because we like to respect privacy.
Well, I think the key is that, in my position, it should be known who I work for, especially if it's in the political realm. But it is known.
Right.
I mean, that's the difference between kind of what you're talking about and me. Excuse me. It is known because it's all public. It's all and before the election, I was not working with Canterbury. I got the client afterwards. So the question, do I disclose everyone I could possibly be picking up as a client? It's impossible to do.
Yeah, and I would say that unless you're already under contract or getting paid or working for somebody,
right.
I don't think you should be under the obligation to disclose that you're
talking
in
to
talks.
someone.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm begging for jobs all the time.
And there's other clients that I'm talking with and had been and still am and may work for. But do I tell you who they are?
Right.
Well, I might be working for this person, or maybe that sort of thing. So,
and I have made the mistake of saying that a handful of times. Hey, I might work for them, and then you don't. Hey, what happened to that thing? It didn't work
right.
out.
But the Canterbury, this is not an issue. First of all, Republicans are divided on this, and in fact, the majority are support Racino. I mean, the majority of Republican activists support Racino. Even the few calls that I got. Some people would say, "Oh, you're for gambling everywhere," and I say, "No, this is what I'm doing. It's Canterbury," and they go, "Oh, well, I support that." So it's and the majority of the Republican legislators support this.
Okay, and is leadership with you or with Racino?
The leadership, Kurt
and Amy.
Well, Amy, I don't know if Amy has a public position. Public positions, do we say? Michelle Fishbach is the lead author on the Slots and Bars bill, which is a huge expansion of gambling. Sure. Both Kurt and Matt have said they support Racino, so I don't think they're on. Oh, Kurt is on the Slots and Bars bill, I think, or one of those bills. So, so they're all over the world. Almost all of the committee chairs are on the Racino bill long before I came around to this thing. So. The leadership is supporting this. The legislative leadership.
There has been the
long before me.
The public perception of this is that Pat Anderson is off the reservation.
Ooh.
Pun not intended.
Write that down. With the Republican Party in regards to gambling, because the platform says one thing and she's off doing something else. But the reality is, you've got plenty of activists and the majority of legislators who share your opinion.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good question, Jack.
You're now one of our drops.
That's right. That's
now,
right. And I would argue I'm not off the platform because if I was supporting the Slots and Bars or supporting, some of these other things, yes, I would be. The Racino, again, it's passed already. We had this whole debate back then, and I was part of the debate. And this is an existing facility with existing gambling. So how is this some huge expansion?
Sure. This goes into another part of this discussion. I think most people can agree the Republican Party platform is way too long. Nobody's ever read it.
I've read it.
One person has read it.
You got to pass it to read it.
Right. And I think there should be, 5 things, 10 things maybe. Here's what being a Republican in Minnesota stands for. Now, that decision needs to be made by the delegates, and good luck with that. But do you think there is a place for somebody who is either national committee woman, national committee man, party chair, who can be against something that's in the platform? Like, for example, I'm anti-death penalty. Could I?
You
could I
better
be
not
one of these people?
ever run for national committeeman, Jack. Because
don't worry.
Absolutely, there are so few people that are lockstep with the platform. In fact, there's things in the platform like can't remember, it's on page 12C, blah blah blah, on the very back that says we support the legislature should only be in session every other year, and should only come back the odd year if the governor calls them in. That's in our party platform.
Sure.
Okay, so every legislator right now, the state of Minnesota, Republican, is in violation of the party platform because they set the schedule and they're meeting next year, Jack. Okay, so they're in violation.
Okay.
So that's how picky this platform gets and it doesn't make any sense. And there's been a lot of talk about it. In fact, we have a statement of principles right now, and I think it's 9 or 10 principles. Gambling is not one of them, Jack. Okay, and they're broad statements: free markets, the family, the marriage, broad things that are really important to Republicans. And maybe that's what we should have, rather than getting into these crazy little minutia things where you can, people aren't going to follow it.
All right. Let's say you're elected national committee woman, and immediately after you take a job lobbying for a pro-choice organization.
That is against the statement of principles.
Okay.
Right? That is a major issue.
Let's not put this on you. Let's say Jeff Johnson is elected.
No. But let's say
the appearance of impropriety.
That is a totally different deal. And that's where you get into this problem, because there are certain issues that we are solid on,
now,
as a party that are in our statement of principles that.
Was the statement of principles, that something that was voted on, or is that like the exec committee came up with, here, let's whittle this platform down to something that is manageable? Because in my mind, I would argue that the abortion, being pro-life, is a huge part of being a Republican.
Right.
But not everybody is going to agree with that. So unless that statement of principles is codified or made legitimate by the, I don't know, at a convention, how do we determine what are the biggies and what are the small ones?
I think in the case of that it has been codified. So
Okay.
Our statement of principles, because it's there, it exists, so it had to have been
I
codified
will look into that
because
I don't know.
Now you could, in an issue like that, I suppose someone could run as committee woman or man as a pro-choice candidate and get elected and not be booted immediately.
Sure.
But that is such a huge issue that you would know. Now, in the case of like the gambling thing here, people knew where I was at on Racino.
Yeah.
I have a public record, and it's one of those issues that is way down the list of what, Republicans care about. And they're very divided. And in fact, most are in favor. So, the general consensus is against the party platform if you just take that single line.
See, and that's interesting because we have a majority rule vote every couple of years on what's going to be in the platform, and maybe we need to update that to reflect the fact that majority of Republicans are against that.